Hey, welcome into SportsBit 2.0. Betting Insight today. Paulie and Teddy, Tuesday, April 10th. Big game breakdown. Celtics and Wizards. The Jazz at home against the Warriors. And Severino, Yankees and the Red Sox. Severino against Sale. And we'll get to the NHL playoffs. We'll turn on the shot clock. Before we get out of here, we'll look to continue, give out winners here for a change with the play of the day. Now, we'll start with a little bit of hockey here in the local team. Books in Las Vegas had to offer a yes-no on the Golden Knights to win the conference and the Stanley Cup because there was, it adds up in a hurry when you're giving out 500 and 200 to 1. They were as high as 500 to 1 to win the Stanley Cup. It looked for a while there like they were going to get the 1 seed, but they're in the playoffs. They're favored in their first series, Teddy. There was a $45,000 bet in town. The no is minus $9 at the South Point. William Hill has had the yes-no up on conference and the win to Stanley Cup for much of the year, too. This is crazy that we're in this position that an expansion team is in the running.
Sure, but one thing that the bookmakers, they can't point fingers anywhere, okay? We've seen the long shots come through, plenty of them. Leicester City certainly stands out as a recent one that came through, opening at 5,000 to 1. And it's certainly not the only one. So to see the books coming into the season, obviously, you know it's a local team. You know where the money's going to come. The money's going to come on Vegas. Turns out they're good. The bookmakers got caught with their pants down offering 200 to 1, 300 to 1, 100 to 1. They may end up paying the price. But obviously, with the field versus Vegas, a 9 to 1 chalk, bookmakers may be able to survive this one without that huge payday.
You're talking about something that hadn't happened since, the 60s. An expansion team even had a winning record. I mean, Christ, we've seen them make the playoffs, but they've been under 500 too. All right, bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. This was tough. 8.5 down to 7.5 in the Blue Jay-Oriole game, and it fell 8-2-1 in the ninth inning, and all hell broke loose.
Yeah, sure. You know, even if you don't get the good number in that ballgame, you're sitting there, all right, I got under 8.5. I know I got under 7.5. I didn't get the best number. It's 2-1 in the ninth. You're feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
2 outs, 2 strikes. You know how it goes. The grand slam home run. Ouch. Game lands right on 8, right in the middle between the opener and the closer. That was a bad beat for the underbettors who got there late. And a bad bet, probably as well.
Yes. All right, here's a couple bad bets. Rays, White Sox under 8.5 to 7.5. At the start of the game, there were 30 people there. I'm not joking. Go on Twitter. I mean, it's snowing, it's cold, it's ridiculous. The game fell 9. It could have been more as it was played in the 30s, but there were a ton of base runners in that one. And the Bulls from 8.5 down to 6.5. And look at this, the total 220.5 to 218.5. It falls 219.
That's the beauty of the NBA. Alan Crabb goes off on a 40-point night last night for the Brooklyn Nets. But this is the beauty of sports betting, okay? This is the ultimate meaningless game. We have the Bulls, we have the Nets. 2 teams going nowhere, 2 teams playing out the string, 2 teams playing with their future, et cetera, et cetera. What do we have? Drama, point spread drama, side and total coming down to the final possession. Sports betting is exciting, no question about it. Obviously, bad bets if you were betting on the Bulls plus the points. Ouch. And with the game landing right in the middle, well, if you bet it early, the under wasn't so bad. If you bet it late, ouch. Got to get the best of the number, even when we're talking about 2 lottery teams at the last stages of a long campaign.
All right. It was a weird night in the association. The Spurs were down big in the third quarter and then ran out the Kings. Denver was down 11 in the third quarter and ended up covering and winning by 6. How about this game? OKC steamed up from 1.5 to 4.5. They were down 18 early, and then they blew out the Heat by 22. They're still the 7, although that'll change. But OKC clinches a playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, this was all fourth quarter. One of the ultimate fourth quarter runs. OKC, they won the game by 22. They went into the fourth quarter. They were down 5. Okay, 39-12 run out in the fourth. That's back-to-back losses by 20-plus for the Heat. Pretty clear Eric Spoelstra is not all that interested in the 6th seed, the seed that nobody wants in the Eastern Conference. We'll talk about that a little bit later when it comes to big game breakdown.
Yep. And this line kept going crazy, up, and up. Pelicans from 5.5 to 8.5 in the total, 228. Bet down to 224. No Williams, no Rivers. Pelicans clinch a playoff spot. If they beat the Spurs tomorrow, they'll get a home court in the first round. What a story. Cousins goes down. I buried him like a lot of people. They win by 13. Davis has been phenomenal.
Sure, he certainly has. So the books get walloped on Pelicans money. I mean, a ton of Pelicans money. They get walloped on under money. What about the Raptors? Raptors got bet up from -3.5 to -6 against the Pistons. No Drummond for Detroit. Toronto wins by 10, and they get that tune-up win for the postseason. Nobody played even 30 minutes for the Raptors last night. The Pistons, they mailed it in. The books took a bath on that game as well.
Yeah, a couple baseball games. Padres 180 down to 165. They beat the Rockies on the road by 1, out-hit them 13-7. And D-backs Giants under 8.5 to 7.5. We love this Arizona pitching staff, and we love Godley, and he did it again.
He sure did. 7 innings, 0 runs, 4 hits, 0 walks, 9 strikeouts. Last season, we were telling you to buy in on Zach Godley. The markets weren't there yet. This season, we're telling you again, buy in on Zach Godley. He's got it. And he certainly pitched a gem last night. Bookmakers did not enjoy the result, with that game staying well under the total after another gem from Zach Godley.
Yeah, I can't believe Holland pitched well in that game. I believe that was Holland, who I think is going to be a go against, but pitched well yesterday. All right, big game breakdown. 3 games up next, 2 in the association, only 2 days left in the regular season, and doesn't get any better than the Yankees and the Red Sox on SportsBit. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Real SportsBet. He's at Teddy_covers. We tweet out the links in the show at about 11:30 Pacific every day. Thanks to the great crew at SBR. I'll throw some picks up there as well from time to time, in addition to the play of the day that we do here. All right, big game breakdown. Thanks to Intertops Sportsbook, 22 years online. Sign up, deposit, and win. Celtics and Wizards. Wizards 7-205.5 the total on TNT. Wizards at home, the 6th seed. Nobody wants it. Milwaukee is now the 6th seed. They go to Philly tomorrow. Miami's at home against Toronto. Miami has the tiebreaker over Milwaukee, but Milwaukee now has a 1-game lead over Miami and a game and a half lead over the Wizards. I don't know how to handicap this. I don't know. Is Washington, can they get the 7? Are they resigned to the fact that they can't control it? They lose these tiebreakers? Are they just going to face Toronto in the first round? I don't know what they're going to do, because all these teams here have had horrible losses lately and going through the motions. The Wizards just lost to Atlanta at home. The Bucks, the Heat got run out by the Knicks before the OKC debacle. No one wants the 6th seed. Why would you want it?
No, I mean, if I'm sitting here as a GM or a coach, you don't want to tell your team, tank. But if you have a choice between playing the Cavs or the Sixers in the first round, 2 best teams in the East, maybe. The Cavs have been there, obviously. Philly, as hot as any team in the NBA. Boston and Toronto at the top, they appear a little bit more vulnerable. They really do. So it may well be the 6th seed that nobody wants. I don't know if the Wizards are going to go all out to be playoff ready anyway. You know, this team's on a 4-game losing streak. They blew a big lead at Cleveland on Thursday. They mailed in the loss to Atlanta at home on Friday. No Wall. But if there's one game Washington's supposed to play, this is it. A rare late season setting, a home game, 3 days off in a row, and then another home game. What'd they do on Sunday? Well, instead of practice, Scott Brooks said, let's sit down and watch some film. And the film wasn't pretty. Bradley Beal, quote, the team we were watching on the film wasn't us. Looking at the things we were doing over the course of the year, over the course of the last couple games, just seeing our demeanor and our approach and seeing 2 different teams. They showed us clips of us last year in the playoffs, just our intensity, our focus, our grit and grind, attention for detail, and everything was a lot better. So that's who we need to be. Needing to be and capable of being maybe 2 different things, but certainly the Wizards know their recent level of play hasn't been any good at all. A team that has been struggling in every way a team can struggle down the stretch of this long NBA regular season.
Well, remember, there was talk that they were better without Wall. Remember that bullshit? And Gortat had that tweet about, hey, where everyone's passing the ball and getting involved. They were playing so well. That was a long time ago. Now they're 6-13 since February 28th with some ugly losses in there as well. So this has come off the rails here. Now with the Celtics, what are they going to do? I mean, no Smart for the first round. Kyrie done for the season. You got to worry about Rozier's has been their go-to guy and been terrific down the stretch too, along with Tatum. But I don't know how Stevens treats this. And remember, they just got beat at home by Atlanta.
Well, exactly. I mean, Stevens didn't have any player go 30 minutes against Atlanta on Sunday. They led that game by 13 in the fourth, and Stevens emptied the bench, essentially. Quote, if we would have played our normal rotation, we would have won that game. No doubt about it. Let young guys play in the fourth. Bench play is going to be huge for us going to the playoffs without a full roster. So basically, Stevens is saying, I don't give a shit. I don't care if we win or lose. I want to get our guys some time. He's talking about the absence of Gershon Yabusele, who is about as far on the Celtics bench as you can get. And he's like, yeah, I sure would have liked to have him around because we could get some playing time for him. Although, according to the Boston Globe, for today, Stevens promised he was going to play his first unit major minutes against the Wizards tonight, given the playoff implications. Does that mean they'll be playing in the fourth quarter? I don't know. And that makes this game tough to handicap. No question, Paulie.
Yes, I'm with you on that one. Warriors and Jazz. Jazz 7.5 at home. Look at that. 7.5 against the Warriors. 211.5 the total. It'll come down to the 3 seed tomorrow. The Jazz go to Portland. Portland's 48-33, and the Jazz are 47-33. Portland on this losing streak now all of a sudden. Since January 20th, the second game Gobert came back. Look at this. The Rockets have the best record in the league at 33-4. The Jazz are right behind them at 29-6. Again, what a story, as we pointed out here on SportsBit. At one point, the Jazz were 9 games under 500. They could get the 3 seed. And Gobert has been the key. Also, they got Exum back too, and he's been terrific.
He sure has. I mean, you look at Gobert's season, and the stats show it really clear. Let's see this graphic. On the floor, they're almost net plus 8 points per 100 possession off. They're about, 6.6 points worse without Gobert on the floor. No question, he is an impact player. In my mind, he deserves some MVP consideration this season, although obviously he's not going to win it. You talked about Exum. Look at the graphic here, 195 minutes that he's played since getting back into the rotation, a guy who was hurt for most of the season, a backup point guard who can bring it. Look at the net, plus 12.1 points per 100 for Exum so far. But again, you look at the implications for these late season games. Do the Jazz really go all out for the number 3 seed tonight and then at Portland on Wednesday? Is that the goal, or is the goal to go in fresh and healthy? I don't know what Quinn Snyder is thinking here.
I know.
And that makes it something of a difficult handicap. But I know this. I'm not excited about taking Golden State. The Warriors are big dogs here for a reason.
Yes, the defense has been horrible, and they have been costing their backers for a while. It's 8-16 ATS the last 24. We'll see how Kerr handles it. I mean, the playoffs start Saturday, so you want to get these guys going. You won't have Curry, but these guys are not playing defense. And Durant, Green, and Thompson have been back the last 3 games, but when they're on the court together, points per 100, they've been outscored, net minus 1.7. So that's a problem. So you want to get chemistry and get these guys going. They did have that big win at OKC as well, but then they no-showed a couple times, and Kerr called them out since then. Here's Kerr. My main message, we've got to defend. We've got to get back to being a top 5 defensive team. I probably chose my words poorly in Indianapolis when I said they didn't care. They didn't mean that they didn't. That didn't mean that they didn't care. What that meant to me was that they didn't box out. They didn't get in the passing lanes. They didn't compete at a high level. But when you say someone doesn't care, that can be interpreted as maybe you're questioning their character. So it's a tough spot, Teddy. I mean, who knows what Utah's going to handle it too, because you don't want to go balls out here, and then if you get the 3 seed, then you're spent for the weekend.
Sure. I mean, for Utah, the goal is probably to win a playoff series. When we talk about the Jazz, realistically, they're not a squad that's sitting there going, we're going to win the title this year, because it's not going to happen for Utah. But that doesn't mean they're not thinking it. They're thinking, how do we get out of the first round? But when you look at those defensive numbers for Golden State, let's get that graphic up one more time, with Durant, Green, and Thompson. This is Warriors at near full strength. Only Curry is missing. And they're allowing 124.7 points per 100 possession on defense. That's not going to get it done in the regular season. That's not going to get it done in the postseason. I'm telling you, the championship runs through Houston, not through Golden State.
Yep, and I think the 3 seed's big, because you would take on Golden State if you win that first round matchup, and that could be Curry's first series back. Who knows how healthy he is and if he's rusty as well. What a matchup tonight in Major League Baseball. Yankees and Red Sox, Severino against Sale. The Red Sox are $1.30, 7 the total, and the Red Sox have won 8 in a row. Their only loss, opening day when they led 4-0 in the bottom of the 8th when they took Sale out and Kelly blew it. Pat on the back to us here, Sportsbet and our stats guy. We've been telling you about Severino since last May. Nasty stuff, high velocity, filthy. And the markets have loved this guy at great numbers. What a pitching matchup this is. This could be the Cy Young Award race, too, the whole year as these teams are battling out in these pitchers.
Yeah, and yet we've seen a little bit of over money in early betting action so far today. I mean, Severino last year, 14-6 with a 1.98 ERA, and the perfect combo. You know, if you're going to say, what do I want a big-time starter statistical profile to look like? Right here. The strikeouts, yeah, high strikeouts are there, 10.7 strikeouts per 9. The good control, less than 2.5 walks per 9 inning, and the good ground ball rate. The ball's not getting up in the air on Severino. And, of course, those were his numbers last year. This year, his numbers are even better so far. Again, small sample size, but 2-0 with a .138 ERA, 14 strikeouts, only 6 hits allowed. I'm in no rush to bet against Luis Severino. This guy's been a meal ticket for us, Paulie, and certainly continues to have bet on potential moving forward. The market's still perhaps not pricing Luis Severino as much of an ace as he should be priced. This guy has been downright dominant.
Then you have Sale, who was awesome last year, although they ran him into the ground with that pitch count. We haven't seen that so far this year as we got Cora, a different manager. Well, this is going to be – what's he going to do against Stanton, Teddy? Stanton with the first guy second guy in history with two 5 strikeout games without a hit. And I think, Stanton had more strikeouts last week than DiMaggio had in one season. I mean, he might have the golden sombrero today.
Sure. When you look at the numbers for last year, the fielding and independent pitching from last year, these are the pitchers that had 180-plus innings pitched. There's Sale, number 1. There's Severino, number 5. You look at the strikeout percentage, Sale last year, best in all of baseball. Severino, number 4 on that list, by the way. But when you have a pitcher who's dominating everyone facing an ice-cold Giancarlo Stanton, what do you expect? I mean, Stanton, what's his slash line? 167, 267, 429 OPS. He's got 20 strikeouts and 42 at-bats. And, of course, he's not playing in Miami anymore where nobody notices. Doing this in New York. I love that tweet from ESPN Stats and Info talking about how he struck out more last week than DiMaggio did in the entire 1941 season. Certainly, Giancarlo, and I'm not worried about Stanton long-term. The cold weather hasn't helped him and all of that, but right now he's not hitting. I don't know if the matchup against Chris Sale is going to help matters in that regard. I'm really surprised this game has seen a little bit of over money. The starting pitching matchup doesn't set up well for runs and bunches.
I love that. He struck out more times last week, 16, than DiMaggio did in the entire 1941 season, 13. Let me try this again. The only other players in the last 110 years with multiple 5 strikeout games in an entire season, it happened to 2 guys. But Stanton did it in a span of less than a week. It's the second time he struck out 5 times and produced no hits in a game this year. He's the only player ever with 2 such games in a season. My God, the Boo Birds have been out with him as well. Up next, we'll turn the shot clock on. First round upsets in the NHL playoffs. They get underway tomorrow. We'll kick that around in the play of the day on Sportsbet 2.0. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Back on Sportsbet, Betting Insight today. Paulie and Teddy, time to turn the shot clock on. NHL playoffs, 3 games tomorrow. Most likely to be a first-round upset. Who's going to go down? We know the Capitals get beat every year. They're a small favorite. How about I'll take the Minnesota Wild at plus 175. Are the Jets ready to win? They had a hell of a year and a great turnaround, but we'll see. I know the Wild have had their issues in the playoffs as well. I think there's value on Minnesota plus 175. And also, they might be telling you something here. The Golden Knights, only 140 in the series price against the Kings. They split the season series 2-2. 2 Stanley Cups for Quick. Money goalie, and a team that's made deep runs in the playoffs, even as a bad season, doesn't matter. Kings could be live in the first round and knock off the Golden Knights as well. What say you?
Oh, I mean, you mentioned it. You teased it. I don't know a lot about hockey. I am not a hockey expert. I do know one thing. The Washington Capitals, every year, get into the playoffs and choke. I mean, year after year after year after decade, and all of Ovechkin's career has been, let's do good in the regular season and stink it up in the postseason. from the people who I trust about hockey. They're telling me Columbus is very live in this series, and the price tells us Columbus is live. Plus 110,
Yep.
I'm with you. Capitals choke it away. I think Columbus is live to win this series, which leads us, Paulie, right into play of the day.
Yeah, they're actually, it looks like they're begging you for capital money. And Columbus has been on a great run here to end the season. We'll take the Blue Jackets plus $1.10 to upset the Capitals in the first round of the playoffs. That is the Sportsbet play of the day. Back tomorrow. Can't wait. Final day of the regular season. All the seeding scenarios. We have a play-in game with Minnesota and Denver. Winner's in, loser goes home. Pelicans play the Spurs. Pelicans could clinch home court in the first round with a win. A lot on the line. All the matchups and what's going to happen in the East as well. And the Sixers likely playing for the 3 seed if they can beat Atlanta tonight at home against the Bucks. We'll talk to you then on Sportsbet. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com. Thanks for watching.